And y'all know how we do. It's me, man, the Big Hurt, and you tuned in to Hurt's World, man. Season 4, Episode 1. That's weird to say. Like, damn, I mean, y'all have really been rocking with this almost 50 episodes. This is episode 49. So of course, next week is a big week, but we'll talk about that later. But I just want to thank my guests from last week. Shout out to Coach Mo, Tease, and Bria for kicking it with me on Herc's World. If you did not go back, if you did not hear that episode, or you have not seen some of the clickables or sound bites, make sure you go on YouTube, check them out. Make sure you check the podcast out. Make sure you follow some of that podcast on all platforms and support that podcast. Also, like I said last week, that will not be the last time you see Coach Mo, Teach, or Bree on Herc's World, man. But it's always fun to collab with other content creators and kind of just sit back and let them take control because I know I do a lot of talking and y'all used to me. So it's kind of cool to be on the other side of all that. But anyway, um, this week we have another amazing episode. This one's called Preventive Maintenance. I'm not gonna tell y'all why right now, just because I want to leave y'all in suspense. So we're gonna pay some bills. We'll be right back with more Hertz World. Welcome back to Hertz World. I'm none other than your girlfriend's favorite podcast host, the Big Hurt. And if she says I'm not, y'all know the rest. But before we went to break, I told y'all this episode is going to be called Preventive Maintenance. And the reason I decided to call it that is, in January, we kind of hinted at we wanted to, here at Hertz World, we wanted to see we want to see everybody transition into better versions of themselves. So we did the whole series about financial literacy. We did the whole health episodes. Now we're gonna switch it up and we're gonna talk about taking care of your body and your mind. So what better way than to call this episode preventive maintenance? And let's just say I think I got two of the dopest individuals in the city of Memphis to come on and holler at me. One of them I've known for a while. She's a she is a interesting soul, and I say interesting in the greatest way ever because her vibe is so contagious, infectious, and it's just like you want to be around her. The other one, who may or may not have looked at me sideways before we started recording, has an equal amount of dopeness, and her energy is contagious. Oh, and she was on the beach with Bay, and I told her like last time she was here that sliding her DMs, but y'all didn't do that, so she went and did it herself. But we'll talk about that in a minute. I'm gonna shut up and let the lady introduce themselves, and we'll get straight into it. So y'all come off mute, tell the people who you are.
Okay. Greetings, everyone. I am Brittney Shelby Sessoms. I am the youngest big mama or Madia that you will ever meet, and owner of Charlotte and Pickens, which is an impact driven wellness production company that seeks to lead people back to the land, kitchen, porch, and table for public well being. And we feature Southern folklore to engage and empower and to address various social challenges. We also provide a product line that is nature based and nature featuring, which is intentional to keep that mission forward, leading people back to the kitchen, the porch, and the table for our health and wealth. Thank you, Herc.
No problem. Ash, what's up?
Um, First of all, we love Black women in agriculture. So let's start there. Wow, I don't even know how I'm supposed to follow up with that introduction, but I'm Ashley Lucas, affectionately known as the transformative therapist by my clients. I am a licensed master level social worker. I am actually in the process of becoming a licensed clinical social worker so that I can independently see clients on my own. And I am glad to be back. I did an episode on grief with Herc last year during a very sensitive time in my life. And by the way, I was looking at him sideways before we got on camera because I didn't know that this was going to be recorded for the World Wide Web on YouTube. And if I had, I would have gotten on here looking gorgeous like Miss Brittney. But you know, we had our conversation, so we're good.
No, you are absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you. I
Thank,
appreciate it.
thank you,
Yeah,
Brittany. I said
you
it
are gorgeous.
already.
I just have on a
Um,
tinted lip gloss. You have on a clear lip gloss. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you.
so yeah, this is YouTube official. So let's get straight into it. Brittany, Charlotte and Pickens. Um, talk a little bit about how that started and where how you started that journey.
Absolutely. I initially began the company as This Lentil Life. Actually, before I established that, it was a lot of names, but I solidified and established in This Lentil Life, and I positioned it that way because I've just kind of been a nature baby, a earth kind of ambassador is what I call myself since I was little. Like playing in the ant bed, got ate up, couldn't, getting ate up by mosquitoes, still going out there, just drawn to the land. And so I just began to share my life and my way. I used to be 386 pounds, and I began to do research around health, wellness, nutrition, diet, and those things. And I was able to lose over 100 pounds naturally. Thank goodness I've kept the most of it off. I just had a baby, so. But I've been able to keep that off now. That was in 2013 that I threw all of my food away out of my house, everything processed, and began this journey of unlearning and relearning food ways. And so when I stepped into it, it was called This Lentil Life, and we ran under that for about a after my grandmother's, and the time I had spent with them at different points of my life. So one of them lived on Charlotte Road in Memphis, Tennessee, and the other lived on the 40-acre farm in Mason, Tennessee, which is Pickens Road. So the company is Charlotte and Pickens.
That's dope. So wow. So I didn't know that. I follow you, sporadically on the social media. I didn't know that you had lost. I'd seen the weight loss. So kudos to that. I probably have to. So okay, I'm gonna be honest. Me and food got a healthy, unhealthy relationship. Um, I don't know if I can. That processed food be calling my name. I know it. I know it be killing me. It's probably real bad, but we got a love hate relationship. Like they hate me and I love them. So what was it like trying to let go, or like you said, relearning food?
I think it was again, I'm a nature-based baby, and so I truly think that my parents actually led a way for me to be healthy as a child. My mother and I moved to Mobile, and so my mother and my father there, they were very healthy. I remember my dad. I mean, as healthy as they could be for their age back then. We had to make sure we ate our broccoli and things like that. So when we moved back to Tennessee, you know, back to this part of the South and around my grandmothers and stuff specifically. My father lived in Mobile. My mom went to school there, and so you know, Memphis, my granny was cooking fried chicken, mashed potatoes, all the things. Then you get seconds, thirds, you can have as much as you like. And so when I became an adult, I moved into my own house, and just there's a journey of becoming yourself, right? And so I started to notice through constipation, my digestion was off. And so I'm like, okay, I haven't gone to the bathroom in about 3 days. This isn't normal. And so I just went down this rabbit hole, and I think found myself exactly where I was supposed to be. And then tied that into researching with family and stuff and just unlearn. So I threw those out because of that same relationship that you just talked about. We had a healthy, unhealthy relationship. 386 pounds was too big of a girl. And I mean, the way I was eating was just like, ridiculous, too big and tasty as a fry, you know what I mean? And so I would say I was just ready, and so I wanted to make that commitment. I didn't want to be able to have any excuses. I'm a person who likes discipline. And so I figured if it wasn't there, I couldn't get it. And so I'm kind of like that about a lot of things. I just do it. I make a decision, I become disciplined. And I started small, just getting like leans. I said, I'm just going to start with more greens and water. And that's what I did. It wasn't that I didn't have any processed food, but not as much early on. And next thing you know, it was second nature. I was taking my food to people's house, and here we are.
Okay. So Ashley, like you mentioned the last time you here, we were talking about grief. Um, this time we want to talk a little bit about the mind. You being a therapist and in that line of work, what are some of the ways that you try to instill into your clients that, hey, you got to take your mental health seriously?
Um, I can even tell you how I do it for myself because I am a therapist who has a therapist, and I tell my clients all the time, or I tell people in general, if your therapist doesn't have a therapist or they've never been to therapy, you might want to reconsider if this is a person that you want to see. And I also kind of want to touch on something that Brittney said earlier about, making the decision to do something and then being disciplined with it, and kind of tying it into the mental health aspect of it all. Um, so I have been trying to stay away from processed foods as well. I think that we grow up in the South, right? So we grow up with fried food, so fried chicken, fried pork chops, mashed potatoes, macaroni and cheese, rolls. Getting hungry just talking about it,
Ooh,
honestly.
and the Sunday.
You are you trying to make me like? Are you trying to make me?
Listen,
I
my
do have. You
stomach
got to
is
finish this before.
rumbling. My stomach is rumbling.
Right.
If I gotta suffer, we all gotta suffer. We're
Mhm.
drinking the drinks and the juices, and that's very normalized in Black culture, especially Southern Black culture. And I found myself realizing, like, no shade to my family because, of course, I love them, but I found myself not wanting to be like them. Like, I didn't want to deal with the high blood pressure. I didn't want to deal with the diabetes. I didn't want to deal with the high cholesterol or just not feeling good. Especially, I have gut issues as well, Brittney. So I definitely understand where you're coming from. And so about a couple of years ago, I actually started working out with a personal trainer. And at first, it was 100% on, I want a dump truck. That's all I want. I want a dump truck. I don't care about nothing else. I need to be Megan Thee Stallion. That was 100%. That was 100% why I started personal training. And shout out to my trainer. Her Instagram is _ Dionysia. She's bomb. When I started working out with her, I quickly realized, like, no, it's a complete connection. It's mind, body, and soul. It's not just, oh, you get a dump truck and that's it. Like, you literally transform everything about you. And it became my therapy. I noticed that on the days that I didn't work out, I had a rough day mentally. Like, maybe I got frustrated a little bit um quicker than I would have if I did work out. And I noticed that when I would do my workout first thing in the morning, it set the tone for the entire day. And one thing that anybody, like any personal trainer, will tell you, it's not just about getting in the gym and doing the work. Like, you have to do the work in the kitchen, you have to do the work outside of the gym as well, which is something I tell my clients. Majority of the work that you do in therapy happens outside of the four walls of therapy. It happens outside of my couch. And I found myself like, dang, I gotta let go of Twinkies. I gotta let go of nutty bars. You mean to tell me I can't cut open this thing of mashed potatoes, put the little warm water, mix it up, and just be done? Like, I gotta like cook. I gotta get in there and like, what? And true enough, it was very difficult to make the switch from fried foods to baked foods. It was very difficult, and my family would look at me like I was crazy with how I was eating. It was very difficult. prioritizing my greens, like letting that be the first thing I eat on my plate at every family function, every meal prep. Um, but I did start small, and I found myself starting to feel better internally. Um, and I said all of that to say, to set up the stage for the mental part of it all. Um, the preventative care in that space also looks like, how can you be disciplined to take care of your mind? What things are you purposely engaging in, like sneaking into that pantry and getting a couple of Twinkies because you just, what do we always say after we eat a large meal? I need some sweet. I can go for
Some
some sweet.
sweet.
Right. In the same way that you would do that, what are you purposely doing mentally that's also contributing to bad mental health? So are you talking down on yourself when something frustrating happens? Are you not being kind to yourself because you made a mistake? Are you not meditating? Are you not utilizing coping skills? Are you not um kind of setting yourself up to be the healthiest version of you? Notice I said healthiest version and not happiest version, because everything that makes us happy is not healthy for us. Case in point, I have not had a Twinkie in 2 years and I am unhappy about that, but I'm also the healthiest that I have ever been. So I definitely think from a mental aspect, um, you have to incorporate the full body. So it's not just what can I do physically, it's what can I do mentally, it's what can I do emotionally, it's what can I do spiritually to fuel those parts of you, to kind of be in a place where you can feel healthy.
So what's up? The male listeners want to know, um, did the dump truck come? Just you know, you can answer that later if you want to, but
Because what's not going to happen is my head getting pushed between the washer and dryer. So we're going to move on to the next talking point, and just know that, the
it's
games,
fair. But
the,
okay,
the games, I'm going to leave it at that.
okay. So we kind of established that her can be a little petty and messy. I can't tell nobody to slide nobody DMs this particular episode, because I'm scared of. Let me stop saying I'm scared. I respect people's relationships, but I've seen Brittany's husband, and he looked like he don't play that shit. So we're not gonna, play them type of games. But anyway, so Brittany, why do you feel like, um, well, why did you become a herbalist? Like, why are herbs important to your body's health?
Okay, so my daughter is in the room now, so if she doesn't want to take it off her sock, just disclaimer. If you hear baby, just like you hear baby. So specifically, I think herbs are important because for number one, every that you take a with some addition to it. I'm certain of that. So I mean, many reasons, right? So, for the one thing is that we have, and so when we talk about God, whatever your version of that is, providing for us, I often wonder why we don't trust it, and specifically when it comes to self medicating. And as it's part of our even the food. And so when I speak about unlearning and relearning, literally placing myself in their context, and really I just took to it. I think there's one in every family who's supposed to carry tradition forward and keep the stories, and that's who I am. And so it's what we had. It's what we've always had, is the land. You know what I mean? We didn't have health care. We black men were, said that we could handle pain, like we were denied medicine. And, we had to find creative ways to care for ourselves. And that involved our connection to the land, boiling roots, you know what I'm saying? And that we grew, you know, or that we found outside and we had to boil 3 times because again, that's the kind of people we are. And so I think that it's important to just try that first. It's not that I'm against Western medicine or anything, but I've been able to accomplish it most times with herbs, with a plant. And I mean, it's unprocessed, it's unbothered, it's untapped. And then you're able to say, look, I've tried God. I've sought God first with this. I've tried plants, and now I need the blessing of a gifted doctor, a doctor that God has put here on this planet to take this thing further because it's out of my hands. And so just that connection to the land, that connection to the story, that connection to history, and just honoring who we are, being us as a people.
Very well said. And one of the things that I do want to put out there, and when me and Brittney were talking about her coming on, anything that Brittney recommends or says is strictly Brittney's opinion, something that she developed, and something that she recommends. She's not saying, "Hey, don't go to a doctor," because I don't want anybody or any of my listeners to think, "Oh, um, I listen to Hertz World and she had somebody on there and she was just against West. They were both against Western medicine or whatever." That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is talk to your one. Let me start. Let me say this. First off, take your ass to the doctor. That's just that. Go to the doctor. Go get you a therapist. Those are one and two. What these ladies provide is assistance or help after you talk to that doctor, or if the first therapist that you got didn't work or y'all didn't mesh well, these are other things that you can do in conjunction with talking to your doctor and or your therapist. So by no means are we saying, "Oh, just stop going to the doctor." Don't do that, because that's why our uncles, daddies, grandmamas, aunties, cousins, and all these people are leaving the earth so fast, because I ain't going to the doctor. They trying to take my money. Maybe, but at least what you dealing with going to the doctor. I used to be like, "No, I don't need to go to no doctor." And then my dad died. So, oh shit, maybe I do need to go to the doctor, because he was healthier than I am, or in his version, but he ain't here. And then people just slowly start to get up out of here. So we're not saying don't go to a doctor, don't see a therapist. These are things that help you along your journey, along with talking to your doctor and or your therapist, to make you a better person overall. Because if just going back to the whole fitness thing, you can kill yourself in the gym. Trust me, I do it 4 or 5 times a week. But if you don't eat right, or you're not mentally right, or you're not taking some of these herbs or vitamins that you're supposed to take, it's not gonna work. You just you burning calories, but you're not really gonna see the results that you're looking for, because you halfway doing the work. So you gotta 100% commit. And I'm gonna be honest with y'all, that's my problem. I'm 75% doing it. Like, I got I'm getting the mental part right. Um, Shout out to my therapist, Dr. D. Berry. I'm getting the gym part right. Doing 2 a days. It's just that I like food. You know, I don't do fried food as much as I used to, but steak and potatoes got a chokehold on my life, and we're gonna pray about it. But we're gonna go to break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more Hertz World. Welcome back to Hertz World. I'm none other than your girlfriend's favorite podcast host, to be Hurt. And if she says I'm not, that harlot is a liar. So I'm talking to Ashley and Brittney today, and we are, talking preventive maintenance for your body. Trying to get your body and your mind right, so that 2023 can absolutely be the year that you conquer that goal, or you elevate your life, or you take on something that you didn't know you could. So before we went to break, we were talking about just putting everything together. Um, so we'll go here. In 20, it feels like 2020, maybe the end of 2019. COVID pretty much hit the United States with the backhand of all backhands and said, "Hey, sit y'all ass down." Um, I know with COVID, a lot of people were pushed into, telehealth and therapy, but I also feel like a lot of people decided that, hey, maybe I need to better examine myself and try to figure out who I am as a person. So a lot of people were getting into meditating and doing things of the earth and things like that. So how do y'all feel like COVID has changed um, y'all's ways of life in retrospects of what y'all do? And Ashley, you can go first.
So the question was, how do I feel like COVID has changed like my way of life in general?
Yeah, and with your clients and all that.
So interestingly enough, I actually did not start seeing clients in a group practice setting until COVID happened. So I didn't start seeing clients until 2021. At the time, I was working full time as a hospital social worker. And if you know anything about COVID, you know that hospital workers got the raw end of the deal during COVID. And so one thing that I will say about how COVID has impacted me on a personal level, um, I really think that it shifted the dynamic in how I view my own health. I think that I don't know how old everybody is on the screen, but I will be turning 30 in August. And so I'm part of the millennial group where YOLO, you only live once. You know what I'm saying? So with you only living once, we're gonna go and we're gonna have a blast. We're gonna drink until we can't drink anymore. We're gonna smoke until we can't smoke anymore. We're gonna live dangerous because you only live once. And while I definitely was not in that type of a space by the time COVID hit, because I had bigger responsibilities or whatever Tommy Pickle said. So I can't be doing all of that. Um, I will say that I was living kind of fast and loose, just in the, I'm young and I definitely get to enjoy my life. Um, and COVID hitting really put things into perspective for me. And I think a lot of people feel like just because we're not mandated to wear masks anymore, because we don't have to social distance anymore, because flights to Cali are no longer $85, that everything has gone back to normal and, we can do whatever it is. But people suffered. People lost themselves, they lost family members. Like the world shifted during COVID and it has not gone back to how it used to be. And I know for me, I realized like, wow, I really do take my life for granted. Like I really do take the gifts that God has given me for granted. I really do take that body that I have for granted. And so, and also during 2020, because there was quarantine, I was eating everything that what I shouldn't be eating. Like I was definitely at Pyros every day. I was at Subway every day. Chick-fil-A, I had about 5,000 points in my app because I was there every single day. And so after COVID hit and I realized like, wow, I really do have to be healthy. It just put things into perspective for me to be about the talk that I was actually putting out there. Like I didn't want to be a fraud to my clients, preaching to them that, this is what you can do to be healthy. And I'm not doing those things. So I take my health in 5 aspects. So my physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And this is the same type of check-in I do with my clients. I check in with myself. Okay, I'm in a mood. Okay, well, did you eat today? Did you drink enough water today? Did you go to the bathroom? Did you hold your pee in for a long time and it made your stomach hurt? I do a mental check in. How are you feeling today? I do an emotional check in. Where are your emotions today? One of my favorite questions that I ask myself is, um, oh, how do I phrase it? Where's the pain today? Is how I ask myself that mental question. Where is the pain today? And then of course, spiritually, I always start my mornings, in prayer. I'm reading my devotional, I'm listening to a sermon or, to gospel music or something like that. Um, And in doing that, I have realized, like, okay, now I'm starting to really care for myself. Now I'm really starting to walk the walk instead of just talk the talk. How I've seen it impact my clients is anxiety. They've been so anxious. And just like I said, just because we're no longer wearing masks and we don't have to stand 6 feet apart anymore, it doesn't mean that all of those symptoms went away. And while a lot of my clients have kind of gone back to how they felt prior to COVID, I do realize there is some residual anxiety there. It's like, I want to do all these things. I want to live my life the way I want to live my life, but what happens if this one thing happens, or what happens if that one thing happens? And it kind of just goes back to, I don't have control over my life, so it makes me freak out. Um, but I definitely will say that while COVID was a horrible thing that happened to the world, it really put things in a more positive perspective for me, because I don't know if I could be this person that I am right now had COVID not sat me down, had COVID not made me realize, like, your mama's life can be gone in a second. Your dad's life can be gone in a second. Your life could be gone in a second.
You're not gonna make me feel old on my show, baby. Anyway, you are I'm FYI. I turned 36 in like 2 weeks. So if y'all just want to give birthday gifts, just thought I'd throw that out there. But
Well,
Brittney,
we're
how's
in the
COVID
same
changed things
age
for you?
group. Happy birthday.
I'm still 6 years older, and
But
I
we're
do
in
kind of feel like that. I kind of feel like that YOLO thing is. Um, I be YOLOing when I ain't supposed to be YOLOing.
see there.
Look, I'll tell y'all in a second. Brittany, how's COVID changed things for you?
COVID is what propelled me to where I am right now. I consider it
And see, this is why we like YouTube, because we not gonna edit that part out. Babies gonna be babies,
please
and
don't.
this is the raw and uncut. So
Please don't.
y'all gonna
This
listen
is real
anyway.
life.
Let the baby. The baby wanted to be on the show. She wanted to be on her world too.
Listen, that's fine. I think COVID was one of the greatest things that could have happened, because it, like Ashley said, um, positioned us to hasten to his, its, whatever you call that thing's throne, right? Um, and it's one of those things where out of darkness come light, like all of the loss and all of those things. I think are things we're living with every day, whether we stop to realize that. And for me, I mean, I'm an old soul. I'm a granny. So I've kind of always been a spiritual person. I've always been tapped in. I was born this way. I was baptized at 3. It's just kind of who I am. So wellness, health, love, service are just at the core of my very being. From just that's just who I am. And so COVID propelled me to where I am, because in January, my company, I guess we may have seen it coming. I'm not sure. I worked in freight. I was a freight broker for 3 years, and my company laid off about 6 of us. And then I got employment, and they wanted me to go to like some class, something where I couldn't like um, phone all day or something like that. And I was like, well, I didn't plan on this, and I have no way to tell anybody that I'm just not going to have my phone for the day. And so they canceled my benefits. COVID happened. I mean, literally, my benefits may have been like, they cut all that out March 12th, and then I think COVID, we were deemed in quarantine like March 17th or something like that. After that, my syrups just flew. They were the thing that held people together in COVID, that people trusted. At first, when it happened, that what was it, December of 2020 or 2021 when it happened, everybody kept getting like upper respiratory infections was the thing. Like people were coming to buy syrup in Lowe's because of upper respiratory infections, but they wouldn't go away. You know what I mean? It was like, I've had an upper respiratory infection forever, but it just won't go away. And so gratefully, people started saying my syrups helped them. And so, I mean, COVID just pushed me on up. And so for me, COVID was a a sign that we have been not honoring God, not connecting with God, not spending time with nature, not spending time with ourselves, too busy to stop and appreciate, too busy to stop to be a steward over any life force that is not human, too busy to give, too busy to serve, too busy to love, too busy to commune with family until it was all gone, like now you can't, and so I think that it was one of the greatest things that could have happened because I mean, ever since they unlocked the world back up, people have been spending time together. And I'm not saying, that things aren't balanced. Like there's still bad happening, specifically in our city, y'all. We know that Memphis goes through a lot, but um, the balance to that is so many beautiful things have come out of it. People have, like you said, come back into themselves, back into family, and back into awareness and consciousness, and not just going through life like they have to. We've noticed the problem. We're working collectively to correct it.
I've never heard COVID described like that. Like I guess I kind of looked at COVID as kind of like all bad. I never really saw like the good that came out of COVID. Um, because like when COVID hit me, or hit, for me, it was kind of like I kind of went into, or I learned that I need people. Like as crazy as that sounds, I needed, I need social interaction. Like I know a lot of people are like, oh, I get to stay in the house all day by myself. Oh, I'm great. And for like the first 2 days, I was cool. But by like the middle of day three, I was like, so I can't like see nobody. Like I gotta look at the same people. I love my son. You know, I love my ex-wife, but I gotta see them like all day, and for like we don't separate. Okay, let me call like okay, you can only play so many games on the Xbox. So that's when I figured out I needed human interaction. Um, but it also kind of made me do a lot of um, soul searching, trying to figure out like why do I crave attention the way I crave attention? Is it a good thing or a bad thing? And then I realized working from home probably ain't for me, because I need people or I like people, and if you give me a work from home job, it's a pretty good chance I'm gonna do my job for the first maybe 2 hours of the day, and then I'll be playing Xbox. So, um, but no, but the way you describe COVID, like post COVID, is kind of like how it was, like how it is. It's like, hey, when you were quarantined inside your home, where you couldn't go anywhere, you had to, you know, pretty much sit down and understand yourself and get to know yourself. You do appreciate going over the big mama house. You do appreciate going outside, watching your kids play. You do appreciate the different relationships that you build or that you're building, with your partner or other people. So I feel like that was a great take on, the good side of COVID, because COVID was bad, but it wasn't all bad.
I want to comment on something that you said a second ago. You said, I don't know why, but I need people. And you seemed really so, and I'm pretty sure like retrospectively, you're like, oh man, it's crazy. I need people. But hearing that is so wild to me because we do need people. And there shouldn't be a surprise behind that,
Or shame behind it. It should
or shame. Yeah, no, I
shame.
completely agree. Mental health saw probably one of the largest increases in the need for mental health services during COVID. And it wasn't just because people were, dying at alarming rates. People were forced into quarantine. People were forced into being by themselves. And humans, we are biologically wired to have interactions with other humans. We need to be touched. We need to be talked to. We need to be validated. And I think because we live in a society where they can come off as clingy, or it can come off as needy, or and since we're in Memphis, where the mantra is nobody needs nobody. It's weird when it's weird now when you're forced to say, damn, I really do need somebody. That ain't what they told me, you know what I'm saying? And so I wonder how many people, and men specifically, and that's a whole different topic, but I wonder how many people, men specifically, found themselves feeling the exact same way that you did. Like, damn, I really do need people. Like, I wouldn't even say that it's you needing attention, or however you phrased it before. I really just think that we were never meant to be by ourselves, and going to a spiritual aspect, that is the whole reason why Eve was created. God did not want Adam to roam this earth alone. So that was a pretty interesting comment that you made. That was pretty interesting.
Yeah, and
I
no,
also
like
want.
literally, it was good.
I was
Go
gonna say
ahead,
I
Britt.
want to comment on something Ashley just said. I don't think there should be any shame surrounding needing or wanting attention. It's a part of being human. That's why we have tools like serve, love, honor. Like, people are supposed to feel, these different array of feelings, and whatever you call them, values. But I think a part of that's an attention seeker. Well, yeah, sometimes I am. When I graduate college, I want you to clap it up. When I buy my home, I want you to give me gifts. And when it's my birthday, hype me up. Yes, I want all lights on me. That's okay. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Become okay with that being a part of life. Now, if you get a little bit, when them scales, like Anita Baker said, sometimes are unbalanced, even yourself back on, make sure you ain't egoing too much. But there's nothing wrong with that. There's no harm in that, if you will.
I
That's okay.
100% agree.
I agree. Well, no, like so, and then it was kind of like, so me personally, and this I can only speak for me. Um, y'all know the job that I do pretty much is centered around human interaction, and I'm pretty good at my job, so I've been told. Um, but when I was unable to kind of like do my job, I had to do my job over the phone. It was kind of like, how am I establishing that like human connection? And that was, in my opinion, that's what makes me so good at my job, because I can establish that human connection. Like, I connect with people on wherever they are. And I know we talked a little bit about code switching a couple weeks ago. I can code switch like a mug. I can go from, hey man, so you gonna get this, or hey, so basically you told me this, and this is what I'm gonna do for you. And it's just all about that human interaction and being able to just be like, yeah, okay, I need this and I need that. So for any male listeners out there, if you don't have a therapist, find your therapist. For any females out here listening, because for whatever reason, um, the ladies are outranking the guys in the rankings as far as like listeners. I appreciate y'all. I really do. But go get y'all a therapist. Um, so we're gonna go to another break, and we'll be right back with more Hertz World. Just because y'all may need to marinate on that. Guys, y'all can't let the women win everything. Welcome back to Hertz, where I'm none other your girlfriend's favorite podcast host, The Big Hurt. And if she says I'm not, she's a liar. We are talking to Ashley and Brittney today. We are getting your body and your mind right as far as the different topics that we're speaking about today. So, self care. I hear that word a lot, and I've heard it a lot in the last 4 or 5 years. Um, People hear, or people self care differently. Um, in y'all's opinion, and y'all can just answer however y'all want, is there a right or a wrong way to self care? And whoever wants to go first can go first.
We'll let our therapist tag that one first.
Okay. Oh man. So Herc, you had me until you said, is there a right or wrong way to self-care? Because on one hand, and I'm definitely a therapist who says two things can be true at the same time. Like literally, I say this in every session. So I feel like on one hand, there isn't a right or wrong way to self-care. You know, self-care is basic rejuvenation. It's recharging yourself. Um, it's literally incorporating a routine in your life where you are kind of refueling, redirecting energy, doing things that make you feel good on those spaces, you know, physical, mental, emotional, so on and so forth. However, I do think that people can they can engage in behaviors that are not healthy and call them self-care. And this is kind of where it taps into like, you know, addiction or self-sabotage or, you know, kind of just anything that is harmful to you. So to answer your question, I don't think there's a right or wrong way to self-care, but I do want to emphasize that self-care is positive and it's healthy. Positive and healthy. Just because
So I can't. So
snort a
I
lot
can't say
of
no. I ain't snort. Who's snorting coke? This ain't the 80s. So I can't say like so because I like to have a drink every Sunday. That's not self care.
So I'm gonna take my therapist hat off and I'm gonna put my homegirl hat on.
Okay.
Her why you doing this? Why you doing this? As a therapist, I do not recommend the use of alcohol or drugs as a means to cope. Okay. However, I am a woman who works as I thought by day. I am a social worker in a children's hospital. I see a lot of things that are very hard to stomach. I hear a lot of things that are very hard to stomach. On Sundays or Saturdays, especially with the sun out, I like to get all cute and dressed up and go out to brunch. I'm infamously known as the brunch babe because I'm going to get me a mimosa by the bottle. You know, and then there are some days where I enjoy a glass of wine after a very long week. I do not encourage that drinking and or doing drugs can be self-care. But if that is how you unwind, then by all means just make sure that you are doing it responsibly because we want to be safe and healthy.
So for all the people that are simple slow, um, drink in moderation. Don't drink to get drunk. Tip your bartender. And if you in a strip club drinking, stop it too. Brittany, go ahead. It'll make sense in a minute. It's gonna make sense. They know what I'm talking
Uh,
about.
Self care. So I'm careful to call much of anything right and wrong. I don't really see I mean I know that they're there, but I like to use the verbiage or the language a better approach, you know? And so I think, like Ashley, there can be many things true at one time. And my favorite saying is, I look at things from three perspectives. That's a high, a mid, and a low, right? And so me myself, I come from country women. I'm just gonna tell you, I like whiskey. I'm gonna have a drink, and I can probably drink you on the table if I'm being if we out. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to party hard. I am your cafe woman, but I'm well. And so that's not every day. That's not during the week. I might have wine like Ashley that's responsible. You know what I mean? I think there is a difference between having fun or recreation and, like Ashley said, when you've tethered over that line into the addiction, and this is how you function daily. This is what you're starting your days with, this unhealthiness. And then in terms of care, as I think that self is who we are. We come in this world as self, for self, providing for self through the channel of family's help and all these things, because we cannot provide all we need for ourselves when we get here, right? And so alone for me says that there is community. And so of course I'm gonna take it on back because I know my ancestry. I'm Nigerian at the root. And so African people are about community, right? And so I am going to correct myself so that I can fully serve my community, right? So it's not just for myself, but it's so I can honor those who are to come after me and those who already paved the way for me, right? And so I actually wrote a post not long ago, and I'm gonna read it to you all. And it said, "Boundaries are for you, like no doubt they are. You can't set boundaries that other folk can do, can't do, and you can only set them for what you will and want to allow in your life. And this doesn't mean that people will still not do things that are outside of your boundaries, but that when and if that happens, you handle it accordingly amongst yourself. And I think personally that if you set a boundary, it's your job to honor yourself and to not allow, but to also communicate your boundary to me in a benevolent way. You don't get to bogart with your boundary. You know what I mean? You got people who, but if you cross the boundary, they ain't never told you. You know what I mean? So I think this self care thing, and what I'm saying, for lack of a better word, gets blurred. You know what I mean? Mental health, even sometimes people tend to use it as a tool of excuses. I mean, and I just like to remind people that when you're into therapy, when you're doing your healing work, when you're sitting with yourself in reflection, like Ashley said, your work continues outside that reflection. So now you enact and enable that. And so when you arrive at a boundary or you arrive at something for yourself, I think it is our duty to share that with community, to communicate that, to speak forth, because folk out here crossing lines and boundaries they don't know are there, and relationships that are important are being severed. Um, and I don't think the village can afford it. And so I just hope that um, anyone who is practicing self care, whether they're going out for those drinks and partying, like Ashley and I say we like to do, a brunch or whatever those things are, journaling, meditating, juicing. Of course, diet is going to keep your mind very clear and clarity in the world. Just remember, and that you are charged to still be amongst your community. So we're not getting well and saying, I don't fool with my family because as we develop tools, what happens, I think that our spiritual we can withstand a little more because we are now more aware. So it's kind of like raising a baby. We know better now. They still don't. And so in, cultivating a well space, I think some girth is one of the rewards. And, I guess girth could look like patience or, taking you a few deep breaths before you go into these. But I think that we just need to be mindful of cultivating the self to drive the culture forward. You know what I mean? It's not just for you. That is not who we are as African people.
Dropping fucking knowledge. I told y'all when this started there was gonna be some knowledge drop, and I got two of the dopest individuals in Memphis to drop fucking knowledge. And if you didn't catch that, rewind it and listen to it again. That whole little segment, just hit rewind and listen to it again. Because there were so many like gems that you could pull out of both out of what both these ladies said to the point where it's like it it doesn't it don't if it don't make sense to you, you're not listening or you're not trying to make it make sense. You're trying to find fault. You're trying to block your blessings, as I like to say. Um, so if nothing else, you're gonna. I feel like everybody's gonna pull something from this episode um, to better themselves as a person. Whether it's said by Brittney, whether it's said by Ashley, whether it's said by me in a joking way, because y'all know I like to play. Um, you still gonna get something from this episode. So, um, Miss Brittney, farming and getting your foods together. What's the best and safest way to get fresh fruit and vegetables?
Your
All
own
you.
garden. Your own garden. Growing your own food. And after that, find you a black farmer if you can, or become a black farmer by growing your own food. Or shop with a local farmer if you can, local farmers market, because you're gonna get the most nutritious food that is most times picked when it's ripe. It's not traveling all of these miles and causing all these carbon emissions and polluting the air. Short distances, slow food, slow fast, slow life. So, and also if you grow your own food, you can get fiber from that. So, um, your own also.
So I'm gonna be honest, and I'm just gonna be as transparent as possible. Um, they asked me the other day because there's in the neighborhood we live in, everybody has these trees in their yard, and I was driving home and I said, "Did our tree just like what the hell did that tree come from?" And I was like, they were like, "It's the same tree that's been there." I said, "No, I said they got to be a different tree. Like it looked different." She said, "It sprouted." I said, "Oh," and she's like, "So we're gonna get out there and pour the get some gardening on." I said, "Man, I don't have nobody's green thumb. I'm not gonna pretend that I got somebody's green thumb. My grandma and my granddaddy did that. They didn't pass that on to me. I don't even like cutting the grass. Like if like I will pay someone faithfully. Like, hey, it's $50 every 2 weeks. Here you go. Pay it up for the next 2 months. I'm not I'm not cutting no grass no more. I did that when I was little, when I was younger. I'll cut as much grass as I'm gonna cut. Green thumb is not for me. So if somebody will point me in the direction of a great local farmer market or a black farmer to get all my stuff. I do that. But Hurt don't have a green thumb, and I don't think it's in me. So
You don't have to have a green thumb. Nature is.
nature be
Okay, I thought I had a bad connection. So yeah, you don't have to have a green thumb. This whole plant daddy, plant mama, that's just something we say because it's affectionate, it's affectionate. But outside don't need us for shit. We are consumers. Outside is producers. That shit will grow if you don't do nothing. And so what we have to think about is we've domesticated it. If you're not growing in the ground, you're growing in the pot. And so now you do have to make sure it gets water and those things, because just like a animal from outside, you're training it up in a way that it is not able to run rampant. You know what I mean? So um that's just it. That's the first thing you gotta do. And then come to some gardening classes. There'll be a lot more going on as the season is coming in. Come over my house. I could use help. Um, just grow one plant, buy one from the store, see if you can grow one just as a act of giving back. Also, gardening is a physical exercise, a farm exercise. therapy. It literally is being face to face with God, a very reciprocal relationship. If you feel like people don't give back to you, it's a real example of God never leaves you nor forsakes you. Okay, as you breathe in and out, the plants is giving you oxygen, you giving back dioxide, and it's just a real mutual harmonious connection going on. So there are many things that you can use it for. First, you don't have to have the green thumb, and you also don't have to grow. I'm not convincing you to grow, but local, shop local, keep the farmers in business, but don't try to be cheap because you know farming is hard. Like you just said, you ain't trying to do it. So when the farmer be like, because honest, farmers markets are a little more expensive. The farmers' eggs are a little more expensive. They are fucking worth it though. But you know, you you might pay the dollar or an onion. You know what I'm saying? Because somebody hands been on it, especially if it's a small size farm. You know what I mean? Um, pay the farmer, pay the black farmers first. But if it's a little more pricey, then you're getting a better quality of food. You're getting all of the nutrients. I think it's worth it. So just try. And two, you got children. You might have a person in your generation that, like me, is a replacement who is here to, revive that.
Brittney, let me just say, because you're giving very much like, Earth Mama, and I love it. I do. So you know what you're talking about. I'm not trying to discredit you. But 2 times in my life, I've had a plant and I did everything that the little instructions told me to do. Put the little seed, had the little dirt, put a little water, gave it a little sunshine. And do you want to know what happened? Not shit. Nothing, nothing
Why?
grew.
You
I
know
don't
why?
know. And to this day, I'm still mad. I think the first time it happened, I had to have been like second, third grade, and it was a school project. And I did everything that all of my classmates did, and I had it outside at first, then I put it on my windowsill, and for 6 months it was nothing but just dirt. And I eventually said, you know what? This is not for me. So I don't know how that like that plus the fact that I don't like bugs. I'm not a grass person or anything. Something flies by me, I start screaming like a 4-year-old. So that's not my ministry. I want it to be, right? Like I literally picture my life, having a little garden outside like Jody's mom did on Baby Boy. But I can't grow shit and I don't like bugs. So how do you expect for someone like me to, be a plant mommy and grow my own strawberries?
You can start small. You don't really have to even be out there, to be honest. And um, like it's not a lot of like at home, right? You're not gonna run a farm, so you won't really be out there. But also, instructions on plants be wrong as a motherfucker.
Had
It's
to
so
be because
sometimes
nothing happened.
because yeah, like one will tell you it needs full sun, and it really probably just needs full light, meaning to cover it because the sun gets really really hot. We in the south, humid and hot, so a lot of times plants here just probably need a little bit of light, and as long as they have light from the sun, they can use that. So I mean, and two, you got tools. You're a therapist. I bet you because you know how to meditate. Sit with a thought and just observe what's happening around you. And I'm gonna tell
Mhm.
you, I get ate up by bugs real bad, mosquitoes, ants, all that stuff. But I use like repellents and stuff like that because I ain't just fond of bugs, but I know they out there. They be on our food when we buy it. So I think just working on cultivating a relationship, but also start small. Herbs can be grown indoors, like your rosemary, which you can use for hair growth and all these other things. Rosemary, basil, sage, those things can be grown like a windowsill in the house. And the main thing is you want that dirt very light and airy. You don't want to pack it because think about it as it's just like a mom. You have children, Ashley, but when you have a baby, sometimes they will place oil right at the entryway for the baby to come out with more ease. It's the same with the soil. Make it as light as you can so push through. You know what I mean? And so it's about practice. I burnt up my whole Kale the first year and was sad, and it taught me acceptance. Loss is going to happen. Death happens. Um, you know, try again. I killed a whole slew of kale.
Oh, I'll probably kill an unkillable plant. I have also not yet pushed a baby out of my coochie, but I love that comparison. That like I love that. I love that. So I'm gonna keep that in the back there.
And meditate first. Just be like,
Meditate.
okay, I feel a bug, I feel some crawling, but I'm observing.
I'm gonna try. I cannot make you any promises. I forget that I have this tattoo on my shoulder sometimes and will slap the shit out of myself because I think it's a bug. So I'll try.
I just want y'all to realize that Ashley took off the therapist hat real quick and put on the homegirl hat, and I love it. Um, and I keep trying to tell you, like when I go ask these people to be on the show, they always are gonna give you their genuine, authentic selves, and it's so fucking dope, y'all. Um, Point me in a direction of somebody that is growing plums right now. Because I really won't. I don't even know when plum season is. I just know I like plums.
That's a tree. So to plant you a tree. And that'll be environment too. And then guess what? I mean, growing up, you can ask people all around here, like who grew up in Memphis. You probably ask them out of your family. They had apple trees, plum trees, walnut trees, pecan trees. All that was growing around here. This is like a really good growing zone. So plant you a plum tree. And really, you don't really have to do much to trees once they get mature enough, Probably got a bit at first, but shoot, grow it. Plant you a plum tree in your backyard if you own your house. You an orchard.
I don't own this month. I don't own this junk, but I'm trying to figure out would they kick me? How mad would they be if I planted a plum tree in their backyard? We'll figure it out. I do what I want to do.
You go to the farmers market. Super Young Farmers Market on Saturdays from 9 to 1, I think. There's also one on Saturdays downtown. What is that by Grand Central Station? 9 to 1. Cooper is all year round. Then there's the South Memphis Farmers Market. There's the Chelsea Farmers Market. So yeah, get with the farmers markets and there are also stores. The Winchester Farmers Market at Winchester and what's that, Kirby, and then Cordova's Farmers Market on Germantown. Yeah, so hit the farmers markets up. If you don't if you never feel you want to grow nothing, those should be more quality.
Cool. Farmers market, here I come. So we're gonna go to break. You're listening to Hertz World. I am going to get messy. And this is when y'all like me the most. I don't know why, but y'all like it, so I keep doing it. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Hertz World. I am none other than your girlfriend's favorite podcast host, To Be Hurt. And if she says I'm not, that harlot is a liar. I got that word harlot from Coach Mo and Tease because I didn't want to. I couldn't keep calling folks girlfriends, hoes, and stuff like that. That's disrespectful. So I'm just gonna call her harlots. And what's the other one? Harlot and it's something else. It'll come to me later. But
Jezebel.
For now, they're gonna be harlots. There it is. That's the one. Jezebel. Harlots, and if she don't like it, she's a Jezebel. But no. So now I'm not going to give away anything about power. That's not what we're going to do. But I am going to ask a question and use power characters. So, in my opinion, Monet, who's the mother, does a lot of competing with her daughter, Diana. Whether she tries to give her that positive reinforcement, but it's always like a backhanded comment. or she's trying to, like, you in situations where you would um uplift your children, she kind of manipulates her children. Um, my question to you, Ashley, is how do you help your clients deal with childhood trauma that they said it all?
Yeah. So trauma processing is a kind of like a long-term thing that we do in therapy. There are a lot of steps, so it's very multifaceted, it's very multi-layered. Um, a really brief overview of how I, in particular, help my clients overcome childhood trauma. I like to specifically ask them to name the trauma. Um, in the therapeutic world, we have like a big T trauma or a little T trauma. So, like a little T trauma could be, oh, I got chased by a dog and now I'm afraid of dogs. So, every dog to me is Cujo. And then big T trauma can be, my mother was abusive, or, my father was abusive, or, we were poor or didn't have, food in the home or something like that. So I always encourage my clients to acknowledge what that trauma is specifically, because how can you even begin to heal from something you won't put a name to? And then as we process the trauma, I definitely encourage them to point out key players. Who exactly are you upset with? Who exactly wronged you? Who traumatized you? I want you to tell me who they are. I want you to detail exactly what they did to you and how it impacted you. And that part, I like to do an impact statement. And it's typically towards the very end of therapy, when we process all of the trauma and how it impacted them in the four spaces: the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And then at the very end, we do those impact statements. And one of my favorite things about the impact statement is how empowered my clients feel to be able to say, well, you mother lover this and you mother lover that, and they're exposed and they're raw, and everything that they're feeling is unfiltered, and they feel brave enough to be able to say those things. And typically I have them write these impact statements down. Like, they can either handwrite it or they can type it, and then they read it to me in session. And from there, my clients are always like, well, what do I do with the letter from this point? And, the homegirl in me be like, mail it. Y'all remember those old Kermit memes where he had the hood over his face and it was telling you to do something evil? That's like the homegirl in me is like, mail it, give it to them. But I always encourage my clients, however you need to close this door, right? Because trauma is a part of your story. So even though you have had a chance to process it, you don't, in my opinion, there is no getting over trauma. You just learn to move through it. So what's going to be the best course of action for you? Do you want to bring whoever traumatized you into the session and tell them? Do you want to give them the letter? Do you want to read it to them? Do you want to burn it? Do we need to go outside and get a lighter and burn it and kind of bury it? What exactly do you want to do with this trauma? And then from there, we go into boundary setting. And Brittney, you said something earlier about boundaries that I meant to comment on. I never considered boundaries as self-care, but yes, like, I definitely encourage boundary setting after we have processed all the trauma and what that specifically looks like. And then also realizing that being triggered by something that reminds you of your trauma does not mean that you have not healed, and it does not mean that you are not healing. Just because I'm walking down the street and I hear Cujo barking doesn't mean that I haven't taken the time to understand that not every dog out there is going to come and attack me. It just means that my body has a biological response to certain stimuli. And then from there, we learn to recognize a trigger, acknowledge a trigger, and deal with the trigger right then and there.
Dropping fucking knowledge. Brittany, um, there are a lot of, I don't want to call them, we'll call them like diseases or things that fight your body or that harm your body. Um, what are some of the best herbs and things that you recommend for somebody who wants to start the process of healing and kind of get those natural remedies going, but after they go to the doctor, to begin to become healthier, a better person.
So I think that healing, just like teaching your children, things starts with self. So I think before you go to the doctor, you should have. I think it started with you who noticed something was different. I'm sure you tried something at home, and you're like, I need to go to the doctor. So I like to redirect people back to that, and it's self-assessing, like yourself, and specific what Ashley said. Like before I begin to rat off plants and stuff, I'm going to assess your lifestyle. You know, and like Ashley said, hold on, I'm tweaking, but or I'm unwell, but when is the last time I had a glass of water versus the Cokes? So that's really the first thing I'm gonna say is water. You know what I mean? A lot of times we are just dehydrated or we haven't stretched, so people plants and herbs, people think that it's okay to just go and take excessively, because it's natural. Oh, it's really medicine. And there are really chemical constituents in these things. Like I said, medicine that we take is actually made from extracts from this stuff. So you have to be careful, especially when you know that you are not going to be accountable and balance out your choices for yourself, your intake in any way, whether that's media, but specifically we're talking about what goes inside of your body. And so, like if you know you aren't in a space to do the work surrounding your diet and your intake, as far as no attempts toward the removing the processed things and cooking at home and things like that. Yes. Okay, I'll get you oatmeal. Then you just probably need to go ahead and, go to your doctor and take what they've prescribed for you, because again, we're back at the D word, discipline. You know what I mean? And so you asking for herb, but you ain't drank water in 3 days. I, as a steward of the herbs, I'm not recommending you any herb. You know what I mean? But let's say a person has tried, they have drank their water, they were exercising, because movement is my problem. I'm having to develop a relationship with exercise because it's vital too. So we're dealing with someone who has, taken accountability. They've tried to write things, and now they are at a point where they've gotten ill. Depending on what they have, starts in your kitchen. You know what I mean? Before we get into the deep herbs, rosemary and oregano are powerhouse healers. Sage, these are antimicrobial, and garlic is another one, right in your kitchen. Garlic is one of the world's greatest antibacterials. So if you're dealing with any bacteria, things like that, add fresh garlic to your food. Add onions to your food. When you were little, I don't know if y'all know, but I come from country women. We got a cold, they would stick an onion on our foot with a sock. You know what I mean? That's because those sulfurs are pulling those things out. Like that's real. And that's just our connection and how we heal ourselves. Honey is another one, natural antibacterial right there. Lemon and lime, so before we even get all into the, we can go with the Dr. Sebi stuff, the burdocks and the dandelion and the blood eyes. Like, have you given your liver water to work with your bowel to remove waste? Just simple. Before I give you the flat belly tea, like literally, if you chug water, you probably gonna go to the bathroom. You don't even need the laxative that's in the flat belly tea, which is literally probably paralyzing your colon, because the more you drink that stuff, all it's doing is contracting. It's taking all of your fluids out, and you ain't even had nothing to put back in there. You ain't even had no water, you know. So okay. So that's where I would start first. But again, herbs, put it in your food. Okay, can I have 5 minutes? Yeah. Okay, thank you. I'll be there in 5. Okay. Okay, big girl. Mommy, my oatmeal. Okay, I got you. So, just starting there, and like I said, turn to the kitchen herbs first and before you get into the deep stuff. Rosemary, thyme will clear up a cough so fast. Oregano, garlic, sage, marjoram, ginger, cayenne. All of those are herbs. Black pepper, you put that with turmeric. If you've heard of turmeric, inflammation, like most of them are literally right there, but we don't pay attention to them.
Ooh, pick me, pick me. So y'all know I went to the hospital in February. Inflammation in my left leg. Um, I work out. Do I eat right? Not all the time, but I do drink a lot of water. I work out, but this inflammation will not go down. What What could I take turmeric and you said turmeric and what?
Turmeric and black pepper will give you relief of the symptom. So it depends. I always ask my clients when I was in the active consulting, but I would always ask my client what they wanted from themselves. Were they trying to remedy and rejuvenate and regenerate the tissues, or were they remedy the symptom? It's a choice. Are you trying to just get the pain gone and it's gonna come right back? You trying to not deal with this in your life like me and Ashley. We decided we ain't doing the high blood pressure and the things, right? So where you are, because I'm gonna be honest with you. There is no plant that you can take in one dose that's going to compete with the diet. It's just not going to happen. So, and then too, remember plants are just in natural form, so they haven't been, synthesized and no Western medicine, nothing add to them. So they don't have no, take one by mouth every 4 hours. No, you got to be taking it every two, because you got to be more frequent, because you ain't dealing with nothing but a plant. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Okay, big girl. So inflammation is in the process. Literally, you can take the turmeric, but if you're gonna go eat the processed food, it's going to come right back. It's just work. Happening is inflammation, mucus, and so mucus comes from things that are refined and that are removed from nature. White flour, which has the bran, the kernel, and the endosperm removed, all of the fiber, which is why people don't like brown rice. They say it's too hard. And I'm not speaking against white rice. If we eat it, though, you're going to have to replace that fiber. It's going to have to be a lot of greens, leafy greens, collards, kales, Brussels sprouts, broccoli. You know what I'm saying? So you just got to ask yourself, am I contributing to my inflammation or am I not? You know what I mean? Because you can tell it's going to give you relief, but it's going to be back tomorrow. So, put your cucumber in your water, put your lemon peels in your water, hydrate, get the fluids off of you. You know what I mean?
If you got nothing else from that, drink your water, mind your business. That's what I got from it. Like look, because me and Ashley were talking. Like she's like, I was like, because she came on camera. I was like, is that water or tequila? She said, well, it's water. I drink about 3 liters of water every day. I said, damn, I be struggling trying to get through the. I struggle trying to get through the one. And and she's like, well, yeah, you need to drink more water. And I was like, I mean, I do. Like, I wholeheartedly agree. It's just hard for me to find bathrooms all the time. Unless y'all just want me out here in the streets of Memphis. Yeah. Um, I don't do that, by the way. I don't need them. Don't come for me. I don't do that. I find bathrooms very often. Maybe. Anyway, we're gonna take our last break. These ladies are gonna tell y'all where you can find them if they want to be found, and we're gonna get up out of here. So stay tuned. We'll be right back with more Hertz World. Welcome back to Hertz World, man. I am none other than your girlfriend's favorite podcast host, Big Hurt, and we have been talking to Brittney and Ashley. Brittney, um, small business owner, herbalist. Um, I loved when you said the youngest Medea you'll probably ever meet. That's dope as hell. Um, But before you tell everybody where they can find you, I did a little did a little research or did a little looking on your website. One of the things that stuck out to me was it said, wait, where did it go? You were a hold on, where it go? I'm trying to scroll up. Um, it was listing all the things that you were. Hold on. Artesian maker, advocate, grower, guide, homesteader, nutrition specialist, herbalist, and cultural storyteller. Now, what I want to know before you get up out of here, what is a cultural storyteller? And can you tell us a story real quick?
I've told you a lot of them today on the call. I told you the story of black farmers. Well, I ain't tell you the story, but if you ain't know for you, look that up. But I told you the stories about how we took care of ourselves with roots. I just told you a story about the onion and the sock. So I tell the stories of our culture and our ways of being. And specifically too, when I say like learning food ways, um, or even sharing stories about food ways, getting us to honor that, yes, the way we have to eat is not favorable to our health, but it is what we have, and it has brought us together. You know what I mean? It's legacy. It has given us Southern style cuisine is a worldwide thing. It has given us. Um, I mean, y'all saw the movie Soul Food. Y'all, that's who we are. So it's now about getting us back to that, but in a healthier way. So, okay, if you have fried fish, really that doesn't have to be an unhealthy meal. I mean, you got it in a gluten-free flour, which is cornmeal, then you have fish, and then you can just really skip on the bread and possibly do all greens and beans or something. There's a way without the pork, meat, and fat. You know what I'm saying? But still with the same flavor. And then again, if you want to do pork, try to farm or try to farm. But really, those stories are about honoring who we are, what we had to go through, because we made soul food out of rations. You know what I'm saying? Um, anyway, so that's what I do. I tell those stories in a way in which it's shifting us back to ourselves and regenerating or reinventing how that looks is what I would say. But yeah, I've told plenty of stories.
Very dope. Very dope. And if y'all didn't catch the stories, re-listen to this shit. Like, I don't look. Re-listen to this shit for two reasons. One, we need the streams. Two, you may have missed one, two, three, four, five things. So you need to re-listen to it so that you can pick up on the gems or the things that you missed. So listen to it three, four times. Ashley, we'll start with you. Um, where can they find you if you want to be found? What you got coming up? What can we look forward to?
I can't even get past how adorable Brittney's daughter is. Like, I want to put her in my pocket and take her home with me. Like, she's so
Thank
precious.
you. Say
You're
thank you.
welcome. You're welcome. And my homegirl said, fix her oatmeal. And she ain't gonna ask you no more
They
times.
did. She did.
Right.
Get off.
So and I think I may have said this to you last time, and I have not followed through on this. You can guys can definitely follow me at __ ash.bash on Instagram. As of right now, my Instagram is very personal. So you see me being at work, you see me out to brunch, you see me just living my life. I am focused primarily on studying for my clinical exam that's coming up very soon. So me kind of having that social media presence for the influencer side, the therapist side, I've not just yet done that, but definitely stay tuned. I do have a couple of things that I am planning. Once I get this clinical license, I do have a couple of things that I'm super excited to share with the world. And when it does come into fruition and I can speak on it, I would love to come back, because then when you ask me, I'll have all the socials and everybody can follow me. But if they want to keep up with what I'm doing, um, if they want to keep up with what I'm doing, they can definitely follow me on Instagram. If they want to connect about therapy, right now I am not accepting clients, but if they want to get on the wait list, they can definitely email me at Ashley, ASHLEY, Lucas, LUCAS .therapy at gmail.com, or they can Google me and I should pop up on Psychology Today. We're going to see.
Real quick, um, if you were accepting new clients,
Mm-hmm.
do you let your clients like sit on your? Do you got like a couch and stuff? I always want to. I haven't got the whole come in sit on the couch therapy feel yet. Like mine has all been telehealth, and I kind of want. I feel like I'm not like now. Don't get me wrong. I love therapy. I advocate for it all the time, but I need to sit on. I want to sit on somebody's couch.
So back when I first started doing therapy, like in a group practice setting, I did have an office, and like my tagline was "Come sit on my couch, beloved." Like that was my tagline. I said it in all of my posts. Um, when I transitioned over to De Novo, I strictly was only seeing clients telehealth. Primarily out the gate, I probably will only be seeing clients telehealth. I cannot wait to get back into the office. As someone who has worked with a therapist both in person and telehealth, there is a huge difference. I think the telehealth is very convenient. It's if I need to sit in my car on my lunch break, if I if I'm Brittney and I'm a mom and baby girl's asking me for oatmeal, but I really got to go and get this cry out. Like I definitely think that telehealth is effective. But I will also say that, there is nothing greater, and I say this as a therapist and a client, there is nothing greater than sitting on the couch across from my therapist. I mean, the atmosphere alone is healing. I told my therapist, I said, I will be glad when you officially go back into the office, if you ever do, because your office smell like good vibes and hugs. And I don't know how to quantify that. I don't know how to qualify that, but that's what it smelled like. So, if you ever get the chance to take advantage of like physically going and sitting on somebody's couch, I 100%, get your gas money. Gas is like $3.39 a gallon, but whatever. Get your gas money, drive to your therapist's office, sit on their couch, because you will feel so much better after you get out.
Um, Shout out to Dr. D Berry one more time. I'm gonna come sit on your couch. I ain't figured out how we gonna do it. You
So
probably
I
gonna hit this and
don't
say,
think
Miss.
she has a couch. It's been a minute since I've been in the office. I'm no longer with De Novo. It's been a minute since I've been there, but I don't feel like she has a couch. She has a chair. There's a couple of chairs.
We gonna be whether it's a couch, a chair.
You just want
She
to be in
probably gonna hit this. Yeah, she gonna say, Mr. Morgan, you ain't got no sense. I don't know why you talking about me on that podcast like that. But it's I love you, Doctor D Berry. We gonna meet in person and we gonna have to sit down and she gonna tell me about myself, but it's all good. Brittney, where can they find you? What you got coming up? Um, all that good stuff.
Okay, you can find me on my website. It is charlotteandpickens.com/CP links, and you can find everything there. I recently launched the Free Black Farmers campaign and sold out. It was very successful. The next installment of shirts will be coming out, but the lettering will be all brown this time. I'll never do double colors again. Um, I will be at an event May 27th. I'm not sure of the location yet, but we'll be doing an event called Pot Liquor around the garden, around food conversations, and so please come. There'll be more cultural stories that I will tell, um, and yeah, that's what I'm working on. And you can see everything will be there. My email and all of that is at the com/CP links.
It is a dope website. Um, We were joined by two dope individuals, and I really, really appreciate y'all taking time out and kicking it with me inside of Hertz World. This is episode 49. So the next time y'all hear my voice, I will be hyped. I will be lit. I will be 36. It'll be the 1 year anniversary of Hertz World. It'll be also my birthday. There are a lot of things that I want to do. There's been talk of having like 4 or 5 different guests. There's been talk of having a shot toast. There's been talk of different people just coming to kick it. So I don't know what we're planning for episode 50 or the 1 year anniversary, but I really just want to thank everybody that has come and graced us with their presence throughout this 1 year of Hertz World. In going to these 50 episodes that we've been able to produce and put out. So there's more coming. Y'all gotta get through this one. Also, if you have not, make sure y'all enter the giveaway for the $50 Amazon gift card. You have to subscribe to the YouTube channel, like, comment, share, or like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Leave a comment with your favorite guest or something crazy somebody said, or even just something that you heard me say. That'll get you entered into the giveaway, and then we'll send you your gift card if you win. So until the next time you hear my voice, as always, you don't work, you don't eat, you gotta crawl before you can walk before you can run, and man, run before you can fly. I am your girlfriend's favorite podcast host, To Be Hurt, and I see y'all when I see y'all.